beginning with just praising Allah in alhamdulillahi wa kafa wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulih al-Mustafa wa ala ibadihi alladhina irtada wa man bihudahum ihtada wa bi athari ahli al-Madinati iqtafa wa ba'd. So once again, Ameen, salamullahi alaikum, all of you. I would like to begin with the words of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that al-ayyam thalatha, that you've got, there I am again translating, there's no point, that yawmun mada, right, that yawmun mada lan tudrika minhu shay'an. And so that's really just absolutely out of our reach. What? Do I have to right, all right, sorry, I'll still translate. That al-ayyamu thalath, that we've got, that days are really of three types. That yawmun mada lan tudrika minhu shay'an, that a day which is gone that you will never be able to reach. Wa yawmu ghadin la tadri atudrikuhu am la, and the day of tomorrow, the future, which you are not certain that will you reach that future or not. And then the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that wa yawmun anta fi, and a day which you are in now, faghtanimhu, so seize it. I'd like to also, stemming from that hadith, slightly change the tone. Okay, so it is undeniably a very difficult time, and with all the complexities that that brings. However, I'd like to kind of change the tone to a more positive type of tone. That you see is in Islam, from the Quran and Hadith, we learn great practical wisdom, this great sense of positivity. That the Prophet ﷺ, when he's speaking to people even about times of difficulty, when he's speaking even of things like the final hour, okay, that is like doomsday, let's say the apocalypse, it's going to be, let's say you've got the final hour is approaching upon people, and the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith that إِذَا كَانَ أَحَدُكُمْ يَزْرَعُ, if somebody was just planting something and the final sa'ah came upon him, فَلْيَزْرَعْ, let him continue doing what he's doing. He mentioned in a hadith that if a person was, if he was eating, ذَا كَانَ يَرْفَعْ لُقْمَةً إِلَى, and the final hour comes upon him, فَلْيَرْفَعْ لُقْمَتَهُ, meaning go about your business with the way you're meant to do things. Muslims at the same time, we're all human beings, and we have the same emotions. When we sustain a loss, naturally it is very difficult. We go through the whole process of grieving and everything, and that's acceptable and that's understandable. However, the focus should be on moving forward. We should not be a people that just lament and just go over the past and just constantly. I'm not saying that we are doing that, but I'm trying to say that this is the teaching that we also find in the Quran and the Hadith. We find this great pragmatism, this type of stoicism, this type of taking things. Yes, something happens, as the brother spoke earlier on, very well, excellently. He went through the ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and he explained that the matter, the affair of the Muslim, kulluhu khayr, that in asabahu, sharrun, that even if he is afflicted by something bad, he's just patient, and he's just grateful to Allah, and if something good comes his way, he's still grateful to Allah. And this is the way of a Muslim. It isn't about, it isn't about the quantity of moments that you live in your life. It's about the quality of life that you live in each moment. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's not about, you see, many, like they say, everybody dies. But not everybody gets to live. There is a difference. It's about what you have achieved and what you will leave behind. وَأَمَّا, as Allah says in the Quran, وَأَمَّا مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ فَيَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. That which will benefit the people, it will remain in this earth, leaving a legacy behind. And we should all endeavor, we should all kind of struggle to leave a legacy behind. And somebody, I believe it was Yahya ibn Yahya al-Laythi from Qurtuba, who, when he was once speaking about wishing to leave a legacy and so on, and somebody tried to criticize him. And they said to him, Shaykh, how do you say, Yahya ibn Yahya al-Laythi, for those of you slightly maybe not too familiar with him, he's one of the key transmitters of the Muwatta of Imam Malik. He traveled to Imam Malik on 2 occasions. He came from Al-Andalus, went all the way to Al-Madinah al-Munawwara, and he studied with the Imam, and he brought back his riwayah of the Muwatta, which is today the most prominent and it is most relied upon riwayah of the oldest book of hadith we have in the Muslim world today, the Muwatta of Imam Malik. And when he was doing something once and he was speaking about a legacy, and people said to him, Ya Shaykh, how can you kind of be speaking about this, and shouldn't everything be just about isn't that also a form of almost a form of trying to kind of show off or something? Like if you want to leave something behind, or you want people that come after you to kind of mention you and to praise you. And he said, if that was the case, then why are the Anbiya in the Quran saying to Allah, وَجَعَلْ لِي لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ فِي الْآخِرِينَ, and let those who come after me speak good of me? That this is what the dunya is really about. It is about achieving something. It is about doing something. And yes, along the way, many unfortunate things may happen. But also many amazing things will happen. And each and every person has his own type of journey to go upon. Yet Allah has kind of placed us in this type of intricate web where we are linked to one another, and somebody is somebody's father, and somebody is somebody's brother or sister or mother or whatever, and we have these type of relations, and this is how Allah has set us about on this dunya. But yet each and every individual is going about their own journey, okay, and they are trying to achieve. And that is it. وَلَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. And really that's what a person will have. And I know there is ikhtilaf amongst the fuqaha, and the later, especially within the Maliki madhab, the later ulama did accept things like Isalu Thawab and stuff like this. However, the early ulama within the madhab didn't really accept that. I know this isn't a fiqh, I'm not trying to do you guys with fiqh, but the thing is, what I'm trying to say is that if you look at the mentality of some of the early fuqaha of the Maliki madhab, or of the school of Medina, this thing of saying you can't send rewards to other people just like that, and they're not talking about dua, by the way, they're talking about just sending rewards. What they meant by that is it highly encouraged an individual to try hard for him or herself. Do you understand? Like basically I have to, it's not about, basically it's only what I do for myself that counts. So I better make the most of it. And this type of mentality, it made people kind of go out there and do things. And people before us have left huge legacies. I mean, just us today, the tradition that has reached us, the Quran having reached us, the Sunnah having reached us, all this, the ilm, the Sharia, all of these things that have come to us, haven't just got to us, haven't just rolled down to us like that. People have put in some strenuous effort to kind of pass the baton on to us, to kind of make it reach us. The question then is, what will we be doing? What are we doing to take that further? That is the question. When we look into historically the type of tradition that has been left for us, things that, like the problems we're facing today, people had over 1,000 years ago, sat down and put together principles, put together rulings, fatwa, qawaid, dawabit, so on. All these things, put them together. So people, even today, we're looking at them and saying, oh, right, okay, based on that, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. And so I would like to really set the focus on saying, what are we actually doing? What will we be leaving behind? There is no, this isn't a perfect world. Nothing will be, there'll always be problems. Yeah? I mean, it's interesting actually, somebody said, reminiscing about Al-Andalus, where he said, لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ إِذَا مَا تَمَّ نُقْصَانُ فَلَا يُغَرُّ بِطِيبِ الْعَيْشِ إِنسَانُ. That everything, when it reaches its perfection, basically when you've hit the top, the only way down is, the only way to go now is just back down. That's it. Meaning once things become perfect, they'll only become deficient after that. So human beings shouldn't become too complacent or content. He said, هِيَ الْأُمُورُ كَمَا شَاهَدْتَهَا دُوَلٌ. That is the way things are. They go round. مَنْ سَرَّهُ زَمَنٌ سَاءَتْهُ أَزْمَانٌ. That whosoever is pleased with a particular time, he'll find many other times where there will be discomfort. But that's life. وَتِلْكَ الْأَيَّامِ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. And these days we send between, like Allah, we kind of revolve them between people. But that shouldn't put anybody down. It should set people, make them think, okay, what am I doing in my life? What am I doing? I was speaking earlier on about a scholar, a great legendary scholar from Al-Andalus, Al-Qadi Abu Bakr ibn al-Arabi, somebody almost about 900 years ago, an absolute legend. And somebody that if you don't really know, you should really know, because you should look him up. His name Al-Qadi Abu Bakr ibn al-Arabi from Ishbiliya, from Seville. And this guy, apart from being an awesome scholar, which he was, he traveled the world and he wrote many books. He wrote his tafasir and he wrote his commentary upon hadith, and his commentaries are in print today. He has a few commentaries on the Muwatta. A recent one came into print about a few years back called the Masalik. But he also has a very famous, a legendary commentary on the Jami' Tirmidhi, which is called Aridatul Ahwadi. But in there he mentions a lot of his journals. So when he's traveling, he's mentioning things. He's saying, oh yeah, so he's talking about a hadith, he's giving a commentary, but he might say, oh, this one day when I was in Damascus and this happened. And for us to read that now is so inspirational, because it's almost 900 years later and it's a direct window into that part. Oh, I just realized I'm supposed to be speaking like that. Okay, sorry. So it's a direct window into that time and place. And I was just saying, it's interesting how he speaks, because he was a student of Imam al-Ghazali. And it's interesting how he speaks of al-Ghazali, because he's traveling with his father, he's going about to these different places, and he's going here, he's going there. And he ends up in Baghdad, and there he sees al-Ghazali. But Ghazali is this legend in Baghdad. He's a don, an absolute don there. So this guy, he sees him, his gatherings are like, they're ram-packed. And they're ram-packed not just with your normal people. He says that this person, when he says that when he was leaving, let's say from the masjid going home, like after giving his talk, he would have like 500 people, like mu'ammameen, like proper scholars, walking him home. Like that's an entourage. That's a legend. Now, anyway, he attends some of his durus and he thinks, boy, this guy is doing it. He's up there, he's an absolute legend. Anyway, years later, he goes to do Hajj and he's coming back and he's cutting through the desert of Sham. And he sees this guy, they're traveling through, and it happens to be al-Ghazali. So here's this guy dressed in all these disheveled clothing, and he's got patches on his thobe, and he's all over the place. And he's living in this desert, living rough like a Bedouin. This is towards the later part of Ghazali's life. And he is shocked. So he goes to Ghazali and he says, I don't know, he introduces himself, I don't know if you remember me, but obviously you probably don't, but I used to come to your durus in Baghdad and so on. And so Ghazali's like, okay, cool. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's one of those. He says to al-Ghazali, well, he says, Shaykh, if you don't mind me saying so, but was not teaching in Baghdad much better than this? What on earth is this? What have you done with yourself? And he responds to him by basically trying to say that, look, I did my piece. And he says it to him I did my bit, and he said, he tries to say to him, but I didn't find a suitable audience or people that appreciate it, but I did my part and I moved it. But he says it to him in an actual poem. He just kind of comes up with this, he says, تركت هوى سعدى وليلى بمنزلي وعدت إلى تصحيح أول منزلي. That he says, I left all that mucking about and doing this and doing that, and I've come back to fix my first abode. Meaning I've come, I think it's a bit of time, it's time now that I go back to fixing me. He says, فنادت بي الأشواق مهلا فهذه منازل من تهوى رويدك فانزلي. That, he says that my passions and everything called out to me that chill out, this is where you're meant to be, just relax now, maybe focus on yourself. He says, وغزلت لهم غزلا دقيقا فلم أجد لغزلي نساجا فكسرت مغزلي. He says, I basically did something, I did set about this thing, but I didn't find any, a suitable type of audience for it. So I just broke my thing and just left it. And then Abu Bakr ibn Arabi spends the following years with him and proper, really studying. And he always goes on to refer to him as a danishmand, which is Farsi for the genius. And he goes back and becomes this legend. Abu Bakr ibn Arabi does. And that is what this question, that is what things should be about. What are we doing? And I'm not trying to say, I have this attitude where I say that, look, we shouldn't be focusing too much on, I know people might disagree with me on this, but we shouldn't be, in our day and age, and I don't just mean us here, I mean us generally in the world today, and especially Muslims in the West, and especially in Europe, we should be focusing on the positives, not too much on the negatives. Don't worry about things you ain't, like, don't worry about things that you're doing wrong. Damn, I'm being recorded, so I should watch myself. Right? Don't worry about things that you're doing. Concentrate on the positives. Like, why are you not doing something? Why are you not developing your learning about the deen? Why are you not taking, like, why are you not trying to reconnect with this legacy, this heritage? Why are you not learning about these people? I mean, there's a saying in English that history is nothing but the biographies of great people. Because really, what is history? History is nothing. Like, I mean, history is just that people did things. That's all history is. That great people did something. And we call that history. So why are you not doing something positive? Why are you not... When we talk about this heritage, when we talk about these people, starting obviously with the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba, the ulama, the imams, the salaf, the late. Okay, if we don't know about them, but think about it, nobody knew about them. You weren't just born knowing these things. There's a saying, I mean, in English, that, you know, the man at the top of the mountain didn't just fall there. He obviously made his way there. So the point is that if you didn't know, that's not a problem. But why don't we start learning? Why don't we start to learn about things like, how do we pray? How do we do wudu? How do we do these things? What is fiqh? What is salah? What is sawm? Why are we not? And there is no excuse of trying to say, you know, when I stop doing X, Y, and Z, then I'll start learning about the good things in Islam. Like, meaning I'm going to stop being a bad person first. That's just nonsense. That's why I'm trying to say, look, the focus shouldn't be on the negatives. It should be on the positives. You should still be learning. You should still be trying to understand what is hadith, what are the different categories of hadith, how has it reached us, why not? Is this not a part of our tradition? So why are we not actually doing anything to acquire it, to learn it? That's what I mean about changing the whole focus, changing the whole type of, the trajectory, really, into something like this. And I think that that's something we should really all go away with today. And I think you have got great people here. You've got many great, mashallah, ulama and du'at and people that are participating here. And other people that you've got locally within Belgium. Or, I mean, mashallah, all of you have got connections anyway with the Arab world, and the internet's full of things. And you've got local brothers trying to also teach many of you. People, we should go away with this message of, why are we not doing something if we ain't about learning? And let's develop ourselves. Let's reconnect with this legacy that kind of reached us. Okay, this type of heritage, because it's your own identity, it's nobody else's. I mean, I was just saying earlier on today that we have this thing, especially in the UK, we're trying to talk about like the heritage of, like the Muslim heritage in, let's say, Al-Andalus and so on, and we're trying to revive some knowledge about that. But I was just saying that here, it's so much more at home for you guys. Not only in the sense that, okay, you're probably, I don't know if you are closer to Spain, I suppose so, probably you are closer than the UK, but also in the sense that the people, many of them that originally were there, were had Maghribi type of roots and connections in that sense. So it's actually much closer to you guys, much more at home with all of you, to be learning about all of this that had happened. All this history that occurred here, the history of Al-Andalus in Europe, Muslims for 800 years, what they made, what they showed, what they left behind. I mean, it wasn't just nothing. I mean, for God's sake, this is what I mean. Like, we all, if everybody comes in this dunya and everybody will pass away, that's inevitable. But if all it means is I just live a routine life and I don't do anything with my life, then what's the point? I mean, what's the point of anything? You know, like, with all due respect, animals just live like that anyway. They just come, live, this, that. I mean, you don't want to just be a number, a statistic. You want to do something now that you're here. You know, there's actually, I mean, there isn't an audience here to really understand Urdu. Ain't no Bollywood understanding people here. But there is this very famous Urdu poet where he says in this poem that, he says, Rahina gufta mere dil mein dastan meri. That, you know, that my story remains untold in my heart. Na is dayar mein samjha koi zubaan meri. And neither does anybody in this land understand what I'm trying to say. He says, Usi se dur rehe asle mudda jo tha. He says, that which was the real goal in life, we stayed so far away from. Gaye ye umre aziz raega meri. That how this dear life of mine just went to waste. That meaning that, you see, things will come to an end anyway. But it's about focusing on ourselves. And this is why I said that each and every person that goes away should think. I think in many ways you guys have got it a lot easier, in the sense that you see, the Muslim communities or especially a large part of the Muslim community in the UK, don't really speak Arabic. They're mainly, like, let's say, Pakistani origin or Asian and so on, and the majority of them especially. But so for them, they've got a greater struggle in the sense that, okay, to reconnect, a lot of them really, to truly reconnect, have to learn the Arabic language first, and then they have to learn, you know, other things and try and understand things like the Quran and Hadith and Fiqh. And you guys have already got the Arabic language. So a huge benefit or a huge point to your advantage is that you've already got that. Now it's just about putting in that effort and reconnecting. There's a very interesting, actually, it's quite a long qasida, but part of it that somebody wrote reminiscing about what the Muslims had. And he says, Inni tadhakkartu wa dhikra mu'arriqatun majdan talidan bi aydina ada'nahu. That he says that I remember, and remembrance is something that keeps you awake at night. And he says that such a glory that we had in our hands, but we lost it. He says, Anna nadhartu ila al-Islami fi baladin wajadtuhu kattayri maqsusan janahahu. That wherever I look at Islam, at whatever part of the world, I find it like a bird whose wings have just been cut off. He says, Kam sarrafatna yadun kunna nusarrifuha وَبَاتَ يَمْلِكُنَا شَعْبٌ مَلَكْنَاهُ. He says he says how Islamically speaking, that people ruled with such dignity, and today the type of situation they're in, the people ruling over them in such like kind of denigrating ways. He says, استرشد الغرب بالماضي فأرشده وَنَحْنُ كَانَ لَنَا مَاضٍ نَسِينَاهُ. That how many, especially Europe, he says they saw enlightenment from the past. They took lessons and it took them forward. And we had a history, we have a history. And nobody seems to really want to learn from it or anything. He says that مشينا وراء الغرب نقبس من ضيائه فأصابتنا شظاياه. That here, we try and go behind, like try and take lessons from other people when we've got a greater culture, a greater whole legacy which we're ignoring. And all this does, by trying to take false enlightenment, it just hurts you ultimately. That's what he tries to say. He says that يا من يرى عمرا تكسوه بردته والزيت أدم له والقوخ مأواه. He says, if anybody saw how Umar used to live in his lifestyle, the type of clothing, the type of disheveled housing that he had. يهتز كسرى على كرسيه فرقا من بأسه وملوك الروم تخشاه. He says that how superpowers of the world, like the Persian superpower, the Roman superpower, which were huge superpowers in the day and age, all would, how they were so shocked by this one person, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. And he's just a normal person. He wasn't somebody, he was like a superhuman or something. He says, Wallahu yashhadu ma qalibna siratahum. That Allah knows we haven't really looked into these people. فَأَخْطَأَ دَمْعُ الْعَيْنِ يَوْمًا فَأَخْطَأَ دَمْعُ الْعَيْنِ مَجْرَاهُ. We've never really batted an eyelid, as you say in English, over these type of people or anything. And how long will we live on their legacy? How long will we live on their legacy? لا در در امرئ يطري أوائله ويطرق رأسه إن سألته ما هو. That like shame on such a person that all he does is just goes on about his forefathers. And if you ask him, who are you? He just drops his head in shame. Meaning what am I? I'm just a nobody. Meaning that if you continue, yes, it's good. These people, these ulama, all this tradition, it is our tradition. And to be part of it, to honor it, to kind of pass it on is a huge, we should take pride in that. But at the same time, we should try and be there as well. Honoring it is good, and I know, on people, and we do take, it's like as, what does he say? He says, هَؤُلَاءِ آبَائِي فَجِئْنِي بِمِثْلِهِمْ إِذَا جَمَعَتْنَا يَا جَرِيرُ الْمَجَامِعُ. That, these are my forefathers, go on, bring somebody like them. And yes, that is a good, but the thing is as well, at the same time, you have to kind of do something yourself as well. So, inshallah, I just wanted to kind of, I got carried away. So, that's my problem. But the thing is that what I would really I wanted to do was kind of change the tone to, yes, not in any way detracting from the gravity of the incident, but trying to say that as Muslims, we do recognize it. However, we have to always focus on moving forward. Okay, we have to always think about, okay, what are we doing? How are we planning on moving forward? What are we planning on doing with our own lives? Just to take, as Sayyidina Umar would say, that حَاسِبُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ قَبْلَ أَن تُحَاسَبُوا. And I don't just mean in that, the hisab of go in a very, I'm not just talking about, oh, I'm sinful, or I'm really bad, or I'm like this and that. I don't mean in that sense. Although, astaghfirullah, that is part of it as well. But I mean in the sense of, what am I doing? And if I'm not doing anything, and I'm actually saying what I mean by what am I doing, why am I not learning about all of this? Because this is really all part of something which is yours. Each and every person that is sitting here, men, women, everybody. This is what the things I've been talking about is actually a part of your very own heritage. Every single person here is connected to that. So it's not, this is not something which, it's not to do with just being, it's not just a national thing, a tribal thing, a racial thing. It's something which spans much beyond all of that. It's something which leaves you over 1,000 years of rich legacy. And it's about time people kind of wake up to that and they learn about it and take pride in it. That said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the tawfiq to really look into these things, to have a passion for these things. May Allah increase our knowledge of all of these ulum that have been left for us. May Allah deepen our understanding of the Quran and Sunnah in a truer meaning and a more objective understanding for our day and age and for our circumstances. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alleviate the difficulties of all Muslims, especially Brother Cherif with us today and his family. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provide ease for each and all who are going through any difficulties. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward everybody that's attended, and especially those brothers and sisters likewise that have kind of put this together and just really had in their mind that we're making, because the objective of this and wal a'malu bin niyat, that we're trying to just make things slightly easy for a person who's gone through some hardship. And the hadith says that man naffasa kurba, that for a mu'min, whoever kind of makes something like a slight pain or grievance for a Muslim easy, that naffas Allahu kurbatahu yawm al-qiyamah, that Allah will make it easy for that person on the day of judgment. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this from them and from each and every one here. And Jazakumullah khair for putting up with me just going on and on for the past half an hour. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.